Oh, maybe I replied.
We're
Oh.
live.
Hello!
Hi,
Hi, I'm Vera.
I'm Adrian.
And this is Vera and Adrian Work from Home. I hope you're having your dinner or tea or supper, whatever it is you call it. Or you're in your bath or having a walk. I don't know. It's like radio.
Yeah, just have us on in the background.
So this week is book week, but before we get to the book,
Yeah,
we're going to check in.
yes. How are you doing?
Actually,
Vera?
before we check in, Adrian,
Oh,
checking
yeah.
in, is this a thing that became popular? When did it become popular, this phrase checking in? Because I just noticed it a lot in, say, the last 2 years.
Uh-huh.
And
I
but
don't.
in a theatre context and also in a sort of therapy context.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember when I first came across the phrase.
Uh-huh.
Um,
But now we use it all the time, and you've
mm,
created some check-in cards to ease us into the episode.
I have conversational prompts. It's not quite the same as checking in. Checking in is like, how are you doing? Which I was trying to ask you. How are you doing, Vera?
And again, I always get a bit nervous when you say my name, like I've done something wrong. I'm doing okay. I have finished the last of the big tasks in my garden, and now my life is not empty. I'm not going to say that, but I just don't know what to do with myself now.
Okay.
But no, I'm good. I haven't been feeling super well, and I got a bit nervous about it. But I am fine.
Okay, you don't think you have coronavirus?
No. What about you?
I'm good. I've been feeling very sleepy over the last few days, but that's something that happens to me periodically.
Yes, it's like a seasonal, not
even seasonal. Yeah, just
cyclical thing.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But this morning I had to get up at 6:30 in the morning to take a delivery. And that's kind of jump-started my brain, I think, or restarted my brain. So I'm feeling very awake today, like unusually awake. Yeah, do you want to do a conversational prompt?
Yes, please.
I feel like we checked in.
Yes.
There's no guidance that I know of, around how long one should check in for. I think too long, if you check in for too long, it becomes tedious, doesn't it?
Well, it depends. I came across this whole checking in concept with Improbable, the theatre company, and there's no censorship, as it were.
Yeah.
Whereas my partner experiences check-ins in a different context, and he's quite strict about how long it should take and what should be contained within.
Okay, that's interesting.
But I think, I guess it depends on why you're checking in. Are you checking in to sort of just like touch base, or are you checking in as the beginning of a creative process? And in which case, I think you'd go with the former of not cutting anyone off.
Right. Yeah. I feel like we might need a sort of a schedule of checking in, a kind of, that's not quite the right word, like some kind of check-in checklist.
Wait, no, but we already have a checklist for the show. So like a sub-checklist.
This would be a sub-checklist.
No, but I can't deal with this structure. This is me pretending I'm trapped in a Zoom box.
Okay, this is conversational prompt number 3 from my pile of prompts.
Yes.
What are you doing here?
Oh, that's quite a big existential question. That's where my brain went. That was actually the worst question a teacher once asked me. He said, Vera, again, using my name and making me nervous, what are you doing here? And I just crumbled. Like he had a reputation of sort of tearing people to shreds with like actual criticism, which didn't have any effect on me. But when he asked me that, I was just like, you hit me.
It's devastating.
I am talking to my best friend.
Oh, that's me, right?
Yes.
Good. You're not like chatting along like on your phone while we're doing
Oh, well, no. Do I ask it you back or?
You can do, yeah. I don't have any, yeah. We're still making up the rules of this whole situation.
Yes. What are you doing here, Adrian?
I am giving some point to my day, is what I'm doing here. I'm I am making use of this as a reason to not sleep all afternoon, because I didn't say that, but having got up at 6:30 this morning, I did then go back to bed at 11 a.m. and slept for a few hours, and I could easily have stayed in bed actually.
I think that's quite. I have learned everything. No, I have learned a lot about how to live life from you. And one of the things I have
Yes.
embraced is if I need to sleep and rest, I will do so. So, I can't condemn you for living the life.
Yeah, good. Thank you. But what I'm also doing here is I don't really know. Talking to you, obviously, which I enjoy.
Yes.
About interesting stuff that interests me anyway. Should we do another prompt? We've got 4 minutes before we start talking about.
Well, I was going to just do like a brief reminder to people who haven't joined us before that you can ask us questions. You can ask us anything. And how you do that is to type. Oh God, I've too many screens. You can type to the right of the picture. There's a little column where you can type questions. And when we get to 8 p.m., we will address some of these questions if they are interesting enough. I'm trying to establish the fact that I'm a bitch.
Okay.
Oh, that was another thing. Content warning.
Oh yeah, and actually there are going to be a few. There's a little extra content warning for this week's Vera and Adrian work from home, which we'll get to.
Right. Yeah. So I will try not to swear again.
Oh yes, you swore on in the first one of these, and I issued an apology, so I'll do that again now. We're really sorry if anybody was offended by anything that Vera has just said. That's it. We're sorry. Hopefully it won't happen again. I think my apology the first time was better than that one, wasn't it? I don't know.
Well, I saw on Instagram before coming online a little thing from Brené Brown about how to apologize properly.
Oh, okay. I'll have a look at that.
You should, or should I send it to you after this episode?
I'll study it.
Okay. No, I should also study it. But first, I guess I've got to be sorry.
Yeah.
I think she covers all that ground.
Okay.
Okay. What were you saying? Another conversational prompt? Okay, go for it.
Can I just add to what you said about questions?
Oh, yes,
you can ask us anything, but if you want some idea of what to ask us about, in case you know that's interesting to you, we are going to be talking about a book today, so you can ask us questions about the book or anything that comes up during our discussion of the book.
Or you could ask us, what's our favorite meal?
Yeah.
What's the name of my cat?
Mm-hmm. Don't ask us questions like, PIN numbers or.
You can ask. We don't
you can ask. That's true. We probably won't respond.
I mean, we might respond, but not with the correct data.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we could do that. I'm too honest. That never occurred to me.
What, it never occurred to you to lie?
No.
Are you being
I would just not answer.
Right now? Are you being your true self right now?
That's too big a question.
No, but there is
one of myselves, yes. Mm-hmm.
One of yourself.
I do subscribe to the idea that I've heard from Meg John Barker that we have plural selves. I can't remember where they get it from, but I like that idea very much. So yes, this is one of my selves.
Could we have Meg John Barker on the show sometime?
Oh yes, please. I would really like that. I've never met them, but I'm a huge fan. Yes.
We were in the same room.
No, not with Meg John. I was in the same room with Justin Hancock, who Meg John does the podcast with. the Meg John and Justin podcast, but I've not met Meg John Barker. I promise you.
I don't. Anyway, okay.
You might have done.
We're not going to quibble.
Okay, we should start talking about the book.
Sure. So, Adrian, take it away. Am I pointing in the right direction?
Yeah, well, it looks right where I'm looking. Okay, this book comes with a few content warnings. There's going to be quite a lot of discussion of poor mental health. What else should I say? Oh, possibly suicide, medication, little bit of body horror, possibly. So yeah, I'll try and keep it light, but those two themes are all in the book. It's contained by David Turner. Sorry, my light is. I really love this cover, by the way. I think it's just a beautiful image for this book, because I love that this here contains the space inside, but the space is also porous, so things can come out. And a lot of what David is writing about is what comes out, as well as what you can keep inside. What you can't keep inside. I'll just tell you who the image is by. It's called Of Things I Can't Unthink by Carissa Bakte, photographed by D10 Photo. It's made of plaster and nylon thread. I mean, that's also great. Of Things I Can't Unthink is again, the perfect title for an image that that is on the cover of this book. And if you look on the back, it's teeth. I think it's made up of teeth.
Oh my God. I was not expecting that.
No, it's so pretty from afar.
Yeah.
And then somehow, even though there's nothing particularly gruesome about teeth as teeth, there is something gruesome about teeth just hanging from wires, I think.
Well, it's a classic anxiety dream image, teeth.
True. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So this, I read this last week, and I don't read a lot of poetry. I don't find poetry very easy. I should say probably that I know David. We're both podcasters, and I think we might have met through podcasting or possibly through mutual friends. I don't know, but I like David. And that's why I got the book, because I was interested in what he was writing. He makes a podcast called Lunar Poetry Podcast, in which he talks about poetry and spoken word. It's an excellent podcast. He speaks to really interesting people.
Are they all poets?
I think I might be. Yeah, I think they're all poets. But there are also episodes.
I was going to say something really. What did you think I was going to say?
I don't know. All I registered was that you were speaking over me.
I'm sorry. I was being belligerent. I was like, why haven't I been interviewed? Because I'm not known as a poet. I'll just. I'm sorry.
Do you go to spoken word events and festivals and?
No, I don't.
Perform your work?
No. So that would be why. Sorry. Carry on.
I was just going to say, on the podcast, Lunar Poetry Podcast, they've also done some really interesting episodes on things like accessibility, which are just, it's worth looking up there.
Yes, because they've got everything, or their mission is to transcribe all of their episodes, and they've got Arts Council funding for that. And I'm like, that's amazing.
It's really good.
That's really great.
It's a great resource altogether. And David's wife, Lizzie Turner, who this book I think is dedicated to, it does a podcast called A Poem a Week, which I love because it's short. I love short things. And, every week, a poet either reads something of their own or reads another poet's work, and it's just really nice. There's no analysis; it's just a poem, and I think that's really nice. Anyway,
and who reads the poems, Adrian?
Who reads the poems?
Yes.
In A Poem a Week?
Yes.
Whoever is the guest that week.
Oh, I see. So there's no chat with the guest? It's just the guest reading?
It's just a recording of someone reading a poem.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. I like that a lot. So yeah, this book, it contains all kinds of wonderful things. I was saying I don't really read a lot of poetry, but this I find very easy to get inside. Partly, I guess, because I'm interested in poor mental health and what that does to you. And so a lot of it is about that. Like there are some really nice bits about like, being on dates and how much should you tell a date about what's going on with you, like why, you know, in one of the poems he's talking about shaking, and another poem he has these intrusive thoughts about biscuits going on, and there's a nice one here which maybe I can show you. This is also, there are a few that are kind of mapped onto floor plans, which I love also because there's the kind of element of pacing which is in here. And then also this goes down some stairs and out, and we don't know what happens after that.
Oh, that's nice.
And I love that. So like there's this aspect of something, you know, going beyond our ability to understand what is going on with other people. Obviously, all of this in a way can read as an attempt to communicate somebody's experience, but part of it is also the inability to communicate what is happening. But this one starts with, at what point do you share your your mental health crisis plan with a partner? I think that's such a good question.
Do you have a mental health crisis plan?
No, I don't.
I don't.
You? No, I have kind of, I suppose, vague ideas of what I should do if my mental health becomes really poor. But then that's also, that's because there's again, there's discussion in here about the medicalization of mental health, and there are, I think, what would you call them, like watersheds, like that separate people who have poor mental health from people who are in the mental health system. That's a different experience, I think. I think there's a, you know, you can have generally poor mental health and function, that's the word that's often used. And then what happens when you cease to function, or you cease to be able to, I suppose, exist in the world without troubling other people. Maybe that's what happens, I'm not sure. Or you just can't do things for yourself, or you need that intervention, or you're considered to need that intervention. I should say that that's not really, like, the system is not the subject of any of these poems. It's reflected in here.
I'm sorry, I'm still thinking about the phrase you used, to exist without troubling people. Yeah,
because I think that, like, that's what a lot, some of these poems make me think. Like, can I read you one?
Sure.
This one is called, it's called Fragment: Genuine. Everybody is always very supportive, rubbing my arm and maintaining eye contact as they tell me how well I'm coping with everything, how people like me are an inspiration and constant reminder of how much more difficult their lives could be. Genuine in their claim that I can call them anytime I'm feeling down, that the diagnosis must have come as a relief, that 3 tablets a day is nothing, really. How confident they are that with time, I'll beat this. Until I tell them about the incident with the axe. I really like that. And in the background of that, it's probably too faint to see, maybe not. There's like a screaming face.
Yes, I can see. Oh, I love that it ended with an axe.
So good, isn't it?
Because it's a really strong word, it's a strong image.
And we don't, like, there's also, we don't know what it is. Is it violence, or is it just a thought of violence, or an obsession with violence, or is, you know, because the axe, I think, stands for something violent, but we don't know what. And that, like, yes,
it doesn't need to be a literal axe, but it's perfectly placed in the piece.
Yeah.
See, that's what that's the kind of stuff I like about poetry, that the choice of the words and the placement and all of that kind of thing, the detail. And so I'm more interested in writing where I'm like, everything is deliberate and intentional.
Yes.
And obviously prose writers can do that.
Yeah.
And obviously there's a lot of poetry where it's just seems to be sort of reams of directionless rambling, but I liked how punchily that poem ended. So that's, yeah, I
and
like.
it's structured like there are line breaks. It's not written out with that, but there are breaks, and then this like 4 break before the final line is a really nice like breath or something shift, which I find very effective.
Great.
I also love here, I can show you, this is, let me find out what this is called. This is called S is for sugar, and it's written inside a cup, and then there's a photograph of the cup. So like most of it is hidden from us. I think that's gorgeous.
Yes.
We don't know, like it's just inside the cup, and it's very beautiful. It's such a beautiful image.
Yeah. Again, like I find this is how awful I am. When I feel a twinge of jealousy with regards to another artist, or if their work reminds me of my work, I'm like, oh yes, it's good. Or it's interesting. Is that terrible? It is terrible. I know it's terrible, but I think it's okay to own that.
I think it's okay to be interested in stuff that is like your stuff. That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, of course, because I mean, we're all doing that all the time. We respond to things that remind us of what we're interested in or what we're like.
Yeah. I think it's also, well, it's only my experience that I feel quite threatened by people who I feel like impinge on my area in some way, like something that I do or that I feel like is you know, integral to who I am. If I feel like they also occupy the same space, either in terms of their personality or in terms of the work they do, I often feel very threatened by that.
Yes,
quite
yeah.
Common, probably. There's a really nice poem here also about what happens. So opposite the cup, it's a poem called "Being Published in the Dizziness of Freedom." Well, seems to be the title. Being published in the dizziness of freedom was an amazing way to engage with writers that understand on a base level what I'm writing about, but I'd really just like some time to work things through. I really love that as a like title. And then the poem is about how like the complicated feelings that happen when so I'll just read a bit of it. You can simultaneously be pleased, grateful even, that your wife was offered the CBT course, and jealous that all you have is the creased green slip of a repeat prescription. And then it goes on to like investigate what, you know, what it's like to have those conflicting emotions about,
yes,
like, so great that someone I love is being supported, and also like, why am I feeling difficult about, like, why do I have difficult feelings around that? I think that's really nice. The end, I'll just read, can I read the end of that? It's really nice.
Sure.
I just want to read lots.
You're not allowed to read the whole book here.
I know.
Okay.
This is the last bit.
The last bit, and then I'm going to ask you some silly questions.
Okay. And every single mental health professional I've come into contact with has raised the specter of unrealistic expectations, even Fabian. But I don't see how it's unrealistic to assume we might explore all the options available to us, and why no one ever mentioned that I might need to prepare myself for feeling bitter towards my wife. And again, it has such a great rhythm, and like that acceleration towards the end is so nice.
Yes. Also, Fabian.
Yeah,
you instantly want to know who's Fabian.
I know. Even Fabian.
Even Fabian.
Before you ask a silly question, can I just say they're not all about poor mental health. There's a really lovely poem that I love called "The Norwegian for Gum" translates directly as tooth meat, which is about interaction with the internet and people on the internet, and whether or not people are real, and does it matter? And there's a line from there which I won't read, but it's something like, you know, does it matter?
Okay, right, read it now because I'm intrigued.
Okay, it's so nice. Where is it? Is it a problem if we all know it's false, yet still get what we want? Isn't that a great line?
Well, it's not a new idea, but it's good to be reminded of it. I mean, are there any new ideas, etc.? But
I like it. I think it's an interesting, like, I think it's interesting because we talk a lot about authenticity. And I think it's really interesting to think about what we mean by that.
Yeah.
In that poem, the part of the subject of that poem is someone who is on the internet making videos and about like stuff that seems important, and then disappears, and then you get like a forum of people investigating whether or not what's happened to them, but also whether or not they're real, whether or not their story was real. And there's this question of, well, does it matter whether or not the story is real? And I think confessional poetry can have that as well. Like you have this, or it also makes me think, perhaps because of the mental health angle, about what's the name of the playwright? 448 Psychosis? Sarah Kane.
Vera Chok.
That question of like, is it necessarily autobiographical, or how autobiographical should we read it as? Does that matter? And does it matter if we're getting what we want from it? Which I think it doesn't. But I think it's an interesting question still. I'm still fascinated by how much of what I see on the internet is real. And then what do we mean by real?
Yes, for sure. What do we mean by real?
Hmm.
That's a question. Like, because obviously people talk very glibly about, oh, we're living inside the matrix, or, the internet and like VR, and what was that controversial play that came out? If you have a kink that's illegal, is it okay to do it in the ether
Okay.
and online, etc.,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's an important question at the bottom of all of that, which is, what harm is done? And if no harm is done, then what's
But
the
how do you
problem?
measure harm?
Yeah.
Because then we go back to like everything we do has an impact. And, when people talk about species going extinct every day, I'm like, also, there are loads of species out there that we don't even know exist, that they exist and they're going extinct at the same time when we have no idea.
Yeah. That's a very strange thought, to imagine that there are things that we don't know about which cease to exist and we will never know about them.
But that's also like relationships, isn't it? Like we pass all these people in the street, and it's just all these people we don't say hello to or notice.
Yeah.
But when was the last time you saw David, the poet?
A long time ago. We ran into each other at a podcasters event, but probably more than a year ago.
Do you enjoy these podcaster events?
I haven't been to one for a while, but the ones I've been to, I've enjoyed. I've met some really nice people.
Yes. And these are the ones organized by Helen?
Yes, usually Helen Zaltzman and her husband, Martin Ostwick.
Yes.
And then sometimes I think other people step up to organize them, but Helen is the one who has, I think she was the one who felt like we needed some kind of podcasters community. Yeah,
and what really struck me was she shares all her resources online, so she'll tell you about technical stuff, things you need to set up, and I'm like, that's wonderful to be so generous.
She's incredibly generous with her resources and her time.
Yes. I still have a fantasy that all of us are going to like buy, I mean, I don't have very much money at all, but like buy a place and live together in some community that's separate enough, but together enough. But Helen and Martin are people I want to have around, even though I don't really know them super well.
I have to say, David Turner is also someone who's been incredibly generous with his time and what he's learned about podcasting. He's been very active on in the community and on the forum, but also like generally I found him incredibly helpful. Whenever he learns something, he's very keen to share it.
And he does that through the Podcasters Forum?
Does that on Facebook through the Podcasters Forum, but also in person.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. He's a good guy.
Good. It is, it's not 8 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, we're going to start answering questions.
Yeah. Do you have one more question about?
About the book?
Yeah.
Well, I can keep. Well, that's. How much of it have you read? Have you read the whole
All of
thing?
it. Yeah. It's not long. Yeah, and it's. I found it. I just like zoomed through it.
I find it's quite hard to read an entire book of poetry because it's so dense. Poetry is necessarily sort of laden, and
Yeah.
then I have to take breaks.
I don't know if I take. Yeah, sometimes I feel like I don't take enough time, but a lot of the work in Contain speaks to each other. There's a lot of the same. Like I haven't talked about the eyeball preoccupation, which I found really hard. But it's really, I mean, it becomes very interesting about violence, but also vulnerability. It's a really interesting image to use. But so there's like, I find that quite interesting when you come across this, the same image or something similar in another poem. I feel like it bridges the gap between the poems in a way that makes it easier to read, more at a time.
Cool.
I didn't read it all in one day, I should say. Okay, it's 8:01.
I'm just gonna change the energy.
Yeah.
What's in the cardboard boxes behind Adrian?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Some of it is like there's a box of tools. I think that box on the top is tools. The box above might be the white boxes. Yeah, I like photographic paper for printing on. Then I think tools. Then I don't know what's in these two boxes.
I don't know what you're pointing at.
I'm pointing at the cardboard boxes behind me.
I know, but like it's not very accurate, so.
Well, that's the best I can do. Okay,
fine. I mean, you could stand up and go through the boxes and show us, but never mind.
This is a whole load of stuff. This is navies. It's a whole load of stuff. I used to work for a company.
Navigators.
Navigators. So just lots of bits and pieces of stuff that like old script and I mean, I don't know, artist passes.
What, just into that one tiny box?
Yeah. It's not
okay, viewers and listeners, because this is like radio, Adrian used to make this beautiful work in Berlin with Nico and the Navigators, and all the things we refer to during this episode, I will make sure it's in the text below the video, and that remains online, so you can look up resources, etc. But my gosh, I mean, beautiful performance, and I'm so lucky to have been able to see some of it. And he's super naughty and wonderfully skilled. Anyway, I can't believe that all your work has been like condensed into that box.
No, that's just some of the artifacts from my time working with them.
Not I used to keep my contract in there. Okay, there was that time where I turned a corner and there was like a huge picture of you covering the side of a building.
I was quite sad. That's the only time I was on a poster, I think.
Why don't you have that billboard?
I don't know. I missed my opportunity. I should have grabbed it.
You should have.
Yeah, and I don't know what the box in the middle is. These boxes are just coloured paper. That's all. And then there's a box behind. I don't know what that is. Coloured paper? Yeah, like the paper that I made these out of.
What? Why are they that size? Normally you get like A4 or A5 or that's like...
That's A4.
I see.
Go and have... Okay, fine. Oh, and there's a Paddington Bear plate as well. Okay. Look, A4.
Okay. Understood. Well, now we have perspective. Thank you very much for contextualizing. Very good. I recognize that.
Interesting question.
Yes, well, it's from GS, and I suspect that means Gloria.
Oh.
Who we must have on the show, because
yes,
at some point soon.
Regular collaborator in other parts of our lives.
And Gloria is a wonderful poet, and her writing is incredible. Yes. Kevin Shen asks, what do you miss eating most?
I think that's a
Kevin,
question
you
for
missed
you,
the
Vera.
food episode last week.
Oh,
But
yeah.
anyway, I miss eating. Oh my God, Rishi Dastida, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, is a poet. And
Mhm.
he tweeted today that he misses a ham and cheese sandwich croissant from Pret. And immediately I wanted something from Pret.
I quite like their pasta with, what is it, kale and something. I want to say bacon, but that might not be right. It's
Oh, the
tomato and cheese.
macaroni cheese
Or maybe
with
it's just kale and cheese. Yeah,
Mm.
it's good. I'm pretty sure Rishi Dastida has been on the Lunar Poetry podcast.
Well, his writing, I love his writing. And but then again, like I always, not always, but when I talk to other people about what writing they like, it's never the writing I like. But hey, I'm special.
You're a snowflake.
Ugh. Oh, where can I get this book? Josephine, you can get the book online. We'll post the link.
Yes, I think it's. I got it from Burst, I think it was called. But if you Google "Contained" and David Turner, you'll find it.
Yes.
It's from Hester Glock Press.
Yes, I'm quite sure you can't buy it on Amazon because it's published by a wonderful non-capitalist
Yes,
publisher.
it's a really nicely made book. It's very beautiful.
Okay. Oh, I want to shout out. I know this isn't a shout out time, but I just want to say hi to Lisa, who is in California. No,
Hi,
Silver
Lisa.
Lake. That's California. We have a really dedicated follower in Lisa, so I just want to send some love.
Oh, that's very nice.
Ooh. How can one Zoom bomb you guys? Asking for a friend, theoretically.
I don't think you can do that in like. I don't think it's possible.
I think you could, but I'm not a computer.
Oh wait, is that the thing that people were doing?
Mm-hmm.
I heard that there was a problem with Zoom, that people were joining other people's meetings.
Yes.
Is that what Kevin means by Zoom bombing?
Yes.
Okay.
So what you can do is, you can interrupt people's meetings and be disruptive. But on the plus side, you can also, what was it? I'm sure I've already said this to you. You can hire a llama or a goat to
You
appear
did
in a
say
Zoom
that.
meeting.
How do you do that?
Oh, I've lost the link. I'm sure you could Google it.
Is it just like you get a screen with a llama on?
Yeah.
Because when you first told me you could hire a llama for your Zoom meeting, I was like, does it like get delivered? Do they leave it outside your house and then you have to go down and pick it up?
No, it's just there on your...
On a crate? I see. So it's like a bird cam or a puppy cam or something like that, is it?
Yes, but maybe they train it to like look down the barrel.
Contribute
And
something.
maybe to nod and make some noises. No, so like it's participating in your board meeting.
Okay. Yeah, Kevin says
I would
goat
like
to
that.
meeting. Goat to meeting.
They zoom in from the farm. Oh, Kevin. He's one of my eating buddies. You're one of my eating buddies.
Yeah. I miss roast duck. I didn't answer that question, but...
Oh, roast duck.
There are so many, well, with you've taken me to several places in London that do really good roast duck. And then outside London, if you have money to spend, there's a place in, I think, Aston Clinton, or I might have the name of the village wrong, not far from Aylesbury, where they do the most incredible roast Aylesbury duck. I'm very sorry for people who are not meat eaters and find the idea of eating meat upsetting, but I mean, the first time I went to this place in Aston Clinton, I wasn't eating meat, and I started eating meat as a result. I restarted eating meat as a result of going there with my family.
Well, I am a meat eater, and I've tried to reduce my meat intake hugely. And I remember, because we used to eat a lot together, Adrian and I, and a few years ago, you went on a retreat, a silent
I
retreat?
did the Vipassana retreat in Herefordshire. Yeah.
Yes, and I was really worried about you. Not that you would like have a breakdown or anything. I was just like, he's gonna come back a vegetarian, and then I won't have anyone to eat with. And that was very selfish, and obviously it was very selfish. And I do think that it is better for the environment to not like industrially farm things.
Definitely.
But my sisters just said, how can we get me a roast duck for my birthday, which is coming up soon?
Happy birthday, Shira.
No, my birthday.
Oh, I see. Sorry, I thought she was talking about her birthday. Yes, your birthday is coming up soon, isn't it? May.
Anyone out there who's got access to roast duck?
Roast duck that will travel well.
Yeah.
There must still be people making roasting duck and sending it out on motorbikes, I'm assuming.
Oh, it is 8:10, so we're going to wrap up the chat. And by the way, Kevin, I am watching the half of it. That's a movie that we're going to discuss next week.
I'm going to watch it this evening.
Yes, and I'm going to watch the end of it. I haven't finished it. I've watched maybe 45 minutes of it, 75% of it. And so
can I just say, I'm a little bit disappointed, Vera, that you forgot that it was me who first spotted that the half of it was coming onto Netflix and told you. And then about a month later, when it finally came onto Netflix, you announced it as if it was something that I didn't know about already.
Hang on.
I was a month ahead of you and knew that this was coming, and I was excited about it. Look back.
But you haven't watched it. You weren't excited enough to watch it before I watched it.
Other things.
Wait, hang on a second.
Been watching Pretty Little Liars.
You got to choose your dogs, Adrian. I don't remember you mentioning it, but maybe you did.
Scroll back through the rom-com chat.
I believe you, but also I need to hear things a certain number of times before I actually take action, because I am quite an inert creature.
Okay.
If I'm going, I'm going. If I'm not going, I'm not going. That's what inertia is.
Yeah, that was a very clear description of inertia. I'm not sure it really made your point very well, but...
Well, no, it didn't make my point very well, but...
I take your point now. Next time I'll give you like weekly updates about things that I'm excited about.
It's like marketing. It's like apparently an Edinburgh festival, which I don't love, that you need to hear about something 7 times or like through 7 media.
I can probably
thank you, Dave. It's Luna Poetry Podcasts. Who's messaging me? David. He's not my friend, he's your friend.
Yeah, thank you so much for watching, David.
Yes, also I would like to say it's perfectly valid
to
talk about friends' work, because the thing about, I was saying it's perfectly valid to talk about work made by friends.
Yes.
Because there's this sort of like thing about objectivity and being a reviewer, and we're not reviewers, but people are always sort of given their opinion through the particular lens. So I'm like, cards on the table, we know this person, or you know this person, they're our friend. I'm just being defensive.
Talking about objectivity, there's a very good podcast that I want to recommend called The View from Somewhere, which is a kind of investigation of what we mean by objectivity, or more properly, perhaps, it's why objectivity is not working.
I have an entire textbook about the birth of objectivity as a concept.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So I'm going to read that at some point. Yes, because it wasn't a thing.
No. And it's never been a real thing. Obviously, it's a concept that, no one is objective. There is an idea of what objectivity means, but it is
but even in science, within science, the concept of objectivity came up.
Oh, I see. I'm talking about journalism. Sorry. Yes. Okay. Yeah. The View from Somewhere is about journalism, but right. Okay. Interesting. Yes.
Your father has written something, Mr.
Ivinghoe, not Aston Clinton. It's very close to Aston Clinton. Ivinghoe. Yes. Thanks, Dad.
Great.
That's where the duck. That is where the duck can be from, the Aylesbury duck. When those things.
All right. Now, just to let everyone know, it's not super obvious yet, but there is, if you've enjoyed what if you enjoy us, you can throw some money our way. So you do that by scrolling down below the YouTube video, and there's a link saying you can support artists like us and the Omnibus by clicking on a link and giving us money. But hey,
also a great way to support the Omnibus Theatre, who are just wonderful and very supportive people.
Yes, I've sort of like wheedled my way into I was just so happy to be part of the Omnibus somehow.
It's a great place.
Yeah. But anyway, see you next week. We're going to talk about the half of it, and so next week is movie TV week.
Movie week next week. Movie TV.
Yes. And thank you for your great questions.
Yes. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Soon we will have